Okay, so it's October 2024 and this video was filmed in May 2024. The idea with this video is we're going to go through a rundown of how we did this descent and hopefully talk about some of the little points that might help you learn how to do these things better. So a little caveat, I'm skiing with a client. This client of mine, I've been skiing with him for about 2 years now, and he comes out in the summer and the winter, and he's put a lot of time and effort into his progression. He's really getting to a point now where he can ski a lot of really interesting lines around Chamonix, so it's really cool to be able to head out with Chris and be able to do these types of lines. Now the Passerelle Couloir itself is one of those places where it can feel a little bit stressful to ski there because you have a lot of people watching you as you're doing it, and also if there's other people that want to ski it, if you end up being first, then they're sort of coming in behind you. So the first part of the video I'm a little bit stressed and I'm a little bit trying to just kind of get things moving and keep things going, so we're not spending too much time, so people are kind of catching up with us on the rappels. I also didn't manage to film all of this, so actually there's a bit in the middle there where I didn't have the camera on that was filming the section where we basically put our skis on and Chris started skiing on a rope below me, but we'll talk a little bit about that when we get to that point. But yeah, let's dive into having a look at this and checking out what's going on. So we're here on the top of the Midi Bridge and I've just set my ropes up here, and there's actually a anchor up here, which the other day I noticed that it actually wasn't there anymore, so if you went there you'd have to go and put some cord and maybe a maillon back in. So I've got my belay device loaded on and my prusik, and I've tested everything before I'm stepping over this barrier, and because it's quite awkward and off to the side, I'm going to get Chris to put his stuff on after I've gone down, and I've seen him do this loads of times, so I'm totally happy with him being able to do that.
Right, see you down there, buddy.
So one thing here that I'd kind of like to show you guys is how I've set up the ropes through the anchor, because as you can see I have a rad line and a Petzl Passo guide. So those two ropes are slightly mismatched in their diameter, and what can happen with mismatched ropes is that if you're pulling against one, that they can start to creep through the anchor. So what I actually did was a Carabiner block, and I'm just going to show you that setup quickly now. So before we talk about Carabiner blocks, I want to share with you a little story about this video, why it's got a thumbnail like it does. So these rappels are actually now banned by the Compagnie du Mont Blanc, who operate the Aiguille du Midi lift. The reason that they've banned the rappels is there's a high voltage electricity cable that runs inside of the railing that I climbed over. Also, when people were putting their crampons on, they were destroying the wood on the Passerelle. So the Compagnie du Mont Blanc basically commissioned some mountain guides to set a new line of rappels that starts 30 meters from the bottom of the ladder on the final part of the Cosmique Searle. So if you're going to rappel into this couloir and ski this line, that's where you need to rappel from. You need two 60-meter ropes, and it's 2 rappels to get down onto the snow. So that basically means, unfortunately, you won't really be able to go and do this rappel ever again, which is a bit of a shame really. It is a very iconic rappel, and yeah, so just to let you know that, yeah, don't go and expect to rappel off the bridge without getting some kind of a conversation with the people who work at the Aiguille du Midi lift. Anyway, let's have a quick look at a Carabiner block. So essentially this is a Carabiner block, and what we have here is one side of these 2 ropes, the thicker side, is blocked with this Carabiner, which has a clove hitch that goes around it. Basically this Carabiner can't go through this maillon, so basically this rope is fixed. Now if this Carabiner could fit through this maillon, it wouldn't really work. So if this was a Carabiner, for example, it wouldn't work. So one way that you could combat against that is basically clipping this rope through the Carabiner as well and screwing up that screw gate like that. And basically we have the same thing like this, but now if this Carabiner were to be able to fit through here, it basically isn't going to come undone like this. So basically there's no way that you can pull this Carabiner through here because it's clipped through this carabiner here. And the reason that we're doing this is we've got more friction on this thicker rope than we do the Petzl rad line, but I still have my belay device with both the ropes going through them like this. Here I've tied 2 overhand knots that are backed up next to each other, so when I go to pull this rad line and pull the whole system down, there's no way that this can come undone. So basically what we're looking for is a system that works like this, and yeah, that is how you would rappel with 2 mismatched ropes of different diameters. So back to rappelling down off the bridge, and it really is one of the coolest rappels that I have ever done in the Alps, rappelling off the bridge. It really is cool. We've got mod blocks on the side of you. You're basically going down. There's a bunch of people watching you normally. It's pretty cool. And yeah, sort of kick off this rock a little bit. You might look back up at the bottom of the bridge. It's just a pretty unique place really to be doing a rappel. So here you can see there's a little tension knot in the rope. Luckily I managed to stop there and be able to just untie that little tension knot. It's just a slip knot basically in the rope. By the way, if you're wondering how I filmed this, this is the setup that I use. So I've got the Insta360 X4 camera, which is stuck on with a kind of mount, a sticky adhesive mount on the front, and it's kind of sticking out the front of my helmet like that. That way I can see a little bit more kind of what's going on in front of me, and I find that that's the sort of best angle to get these kind of cool rappelling shots and also the skiing shots as well. You can actually also stick that up a little bit higher and you're going to get a better view looking backwards. Okay, so here you can see the anchor just up there on the rock, and now what I have to do is basically climb a little bit up and across to it. So I'm pulling a little bit of slack through the belay device and chasing that through the prusik. So then I'm a little bit higher and then in line with that anchor, and then here I can then swing across and get to that anchor. A little bit tricky because there's a bunch of snow that's kind of hanging out on these ledges. And I got my hand on it there, so feeling a lot better about life. And then yeah, I've got my Petzl connect adjust. I'm going to clip that into that carabiner that's on these 2 bolts, and then I'm able to take my weight off the rope like so. Rope free! Okay. Yeah, that's good. Just want to keep the twists out of the rope there. All good?
Yeah, just when I went to that free fall bit.
So Chris had a little problem actually when he went down the free fall section that he was twisting, so I actually made him untwist the ropes before he carried on.
So do you want to step over the rope so it's on your left hand side?
Here he's just stepping over the rope, and that way it's going to be a better position for me to be able to pull him across to the anchor.
Yeah, now you can step over. Yep. Okay, and then I can give you a bit of assistance here to kind of get up this way. You want to like start climbing across a little bit.
So basically he's come down level with the anchor, and now I'm just going to basically pull him across to get to the anchor. So he doesn't have to do that climbing, he can just get pulled across, and then he just needs to grab hold of that anchor somehow.
Grab hold of the anchor.
Hold of my lanyard, which is fine. It's pulling me a little bit, it's a bit awkward. It would be better if he did like grab the rope. Now he's got the rope, it's really cool. He can take his lanyard off wherever it is. It's a bit awkward. Would have been great if he'd had a connect adjust here rather than a sling, but he doesn't actually own one, or he didn't own one at this point, and now I've made him buy one. So he's clipping in there, and you can see actually yeah, I want him to shorten it up, and it's actually quite awkward to do that in this position whilst you're holding on, and yeah, just a little bit awkward and annoying. But anyway, he's clipped in now.
Now you can, now you can lower yourself down so you're hanging on that. It's going to be awkward as fuck. A little bit. Oh.
So here, yeah, again, he would have been able to get himself a little bit closer and in a little bit better of a position if he'd had that like adjustable option.
I'll come over to you a little. Yeah.
Otherwise I'm going to swing.
Yeah, you can just come and swing in next to me if you want. That's it, step down. Is that better? Is that good? Comfy? You can put your foot over there as well if you want.
Yeah, all good.
Okay. Nice, nicely done.
Ooh.
Cold hands? Or?
Very cold hands.
So yeah, he's got quite cold hands even though it's in May. So it's worth remembering, yeah, having something that kind of is dexterous enough that you can do things in, but not too thick that you can't like manipulate devices and stuff like that. Now I'm taking my backup prusik off. So that was always on there during that whole period. I've already got the rope threaded through the anchor, so now we just need to pull that rope down.
Just pulling it up.
Yeah.
So now Chris is pulling up on the other rope and I'm pulling down on the rad line, and that's pulling the ropes through that anchor at the top. And we just have to check that there's no knot in the end, because if there is a knot in the end that could get jammed at the top. And also it could get stuck through the carabiner block as well that I've put on the rope. So at this point we want to be quite smooth with how we pull the rest of this rope down so it doesn't get jammed on the big horn that's up at the top there that we kind of like bounced off when we were abseiling. So here, actually what I need to do is post that carabiner through the anchor first. And here I'm kind of like messing around with it and I forget that actually it needs to go through the big carabiner first. I'm just watching Chris as he's pulling that rope up there, and then yeah, pop that carabiner through that big carabiner there. Luckily it's a small aperture so it's easy to do that, and then now that carabiner block is set up properly there. So the rope's come down, it's fallen all the way down, and we're ready to get set up for the next rappel.
You okay?
I'm actually just putting a backup knot in there just to shorten the tails a little bit. Probably should have done that before, but basically with the carabiner block, all your weight is on that thicker rope, and the tagline is basically just going through the belay device so you have control over it. So actually the knot isn't really doing anything, it's the carabiner block that is keeping you safe. So it's quite a nice addition to have. It just adds a little bit of extra redundancy to the system. So yeah, I'm putting my prusik on first. Pulling a bit of slack through there, then I can put my belay device on. And it's a much more comfortable way to put your belay device on, and you're much less likely to drop it and lose it. So now I'm pulling that slack back through,
okay,
and I can let a little bit of slack down on my connector just like that, so it's totally loose, and then I can basically test my system before I take off that connector just. So it's back onto that tagline now, and away we go. So I'm unhooking the rope here as I go down just to make sure that things aren't getting snagged on the way down. Yeah, just looking back up at where Chris is, he's basically on that wall on the sort of skier's right bank of the Couloir. That's where you'll find that anchor if you ever go and ski this. Here it's still quite peppery rocks, so kind of want to continue down underneath all those peppery rocks because I don't really want to have to deal with those whilst I'm skiing. I've still got loads of rope, so I might as well just get below all the rocks to a point where I feel like we can ski. Yeah, make sure you flick off rather than trying to pull things down from below, because if you're below trying to pull it down, it could get jammed and then you kind of have to go back up again. So here it's been a little while since I've been to this gully and tried to rappel down it, so I can't really remember where the anchor is, but I have a feeling that it's somewhere around here. There is a crack there that you can see that you could probably get a few cams into if you wanted to. It's just to the right of where the rope is there, but I didn't actually have any cams with me. I kind of assumed that I was going to find something, and actually kind of wish that I had brought just a couple of cams, you know, why not? Now I'm digging around and trying to find another anchor, because I do know that there's a lot of people who rappel down this gully to go climbing, and they would be going like 2 different anchors. There might be an anchor on the other wall, but I didn't look that hard for it, because actually what I wanted to do was be on the snow so I could start skiing, because it looks very skiable from where I am. So I kind of only really had one option of where to look for an anchor, and that was kind of at this point. So here I'm kind of deciding what I'm going to do, because I don't have an anchor, but we're still attached at the top here, and the snow that's below us looks a tiny bit suspect. Basically, I'm not 100% sold on the stability yet.
Okay, rope free!
So actually what I want to do, I'm doing a little dig around here and find this kind of block of snow. There's some hard snow underneath it there. So actually not feeling super comfortable about kind of how the snow conditions might be. So what I want to do is actually build a nice big ledge that we can put our skis on. And then I'm going to build an anchor with my skis, and then I'm going to use one of the ropes to belay Chris as he goes down this slope. Here we are, just looking back up the couloir here. Hopefully in belaying him down this section, that checks out the stability. It gives him a chance to kind of practice some steep turns, and then I can sort of ski afterwards. So that's exactly what we did. I built an anchor out of my skis, and then I dropped the ropes down to him, and then he coiled those up. He's not stopped in the best place, but I'm going to be mindful of that as I'm skiing, and it might have been better for him to have stopped below and out off to the side, but he was a little bit unsure about what to do, so I said, well, I'll just come down towards where you are. So I'm basically skiing here, not crazy skiing, I just want to be kind of careful, put in a few turns, you know, yeah, keep it nice and solid, because I'm very mindful of the fact that he's below me and I don't want to knock him off with a load of slough.
There's a lot of snow in there.
So yeah, now we're getting a little bit closer to where Chris is. And yeah, he's coiled up both of the ropes. He's put one of the ropes away in his bag, so that's a really good job. He's also coiled up the other rope for me, so I didn't have to deal with those ropes. I could just deal with putting my skis on.
Nice, man, we're doing it. How do you feel about this without a rope?
I will probably cycle it the next 10-15 metres.
Yeah.
And then just where this runnel's right in the middle.
Yeah.
And then...
Bearing in mind most people, Chris, would probably be skiing from below there anyway, so...
I got way more turns in than I thought I would have there.
No, it's good. Yeah, but like, I think this is totally... What you should do is side step on the left of this runnel.
Okay, just... Fairly pleased with my coiling.
He did do a good job coiling that rope. It's pretty cool. So basically, you know, we're on our skis now. We've tested the snow in that part. It's feeling pretty good. We haven't had any signs that there's going to be any like surface instability. I'm pretty happy that there's no deep instability in the snow. So, you know, it's basically just a case of getting down through this narrow section, and then we can have a really good ski out the bottom.
Okay.
A few years ago, I never would have conceived that this would have been possible.
Good progression, considering you're mostly just a weekend warrior.
whilst I'm messing around with this, Chris might as well
Yeah, you
ski
can-
down this section, like get down this
you can
steep
start.
bit, and I can just have this, get this rope away in my bag. Chris is doing the right thing here, just gently side slipping down this section, staying out of the runnel. He's not trying to force turns in this bit here, you know. If he were to do that and he were to blow it, he's going to fall quite a long way because it's pretty steep right there. So I'm coming down to join Chris now. Can get some turns in here, but maybe that's because Chris has sort of ploughed a little channel for me.
Okay, man. Well, if you don't mind,
No.
gonna exercise my guide's rights.
Yeah, just let me get my phone out.
Okay.
I've had it.
Yeah, I'll ski a bit and then I'll stop somewhere and we'll see what it's like.
So here I want to try and clear the snow out as much as possible so Chris doesn't have any surprises. So that's why I'm cutting across to the side. There's a load of slough coming down, it's really starting to build up, so I've got to stay away from that slough runnel on the right. But super good turns, feeling really happy with how I skied that. Yeah, it's pretty steep in this couloir. I mean, it's like, you know, 45, 50 degrees in places for sure. There's a few little peppery rocks here, so I decided just to pull over so I can kind of watch Chris ski and, you know, not leave him alone too much. The snow was super good, so yeah, it was just like very easy ski conditions. Yeah, just super fun, great ambiance. Here's Chris coming down to join me now. I was a little nervous with Chris going above me there because, yeah, that is a way that you can kind of knock people off when you stop, so.
Yeah. Epic, man. Good work.
Woo! Now I'm feeling the altitude.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was a little crevasse around in underneath there. So I might just do another pitch and then like stop like around the corner. So once I go out of view, you can start, yeah?
Okay. Woo!
0 to 100 today.
Yeah, man. Feeling alright though.
Good.
I mean, not exactly like charging it, but
Yeah.
doing link turns. So.
I mean, considering you just literally got on a transfer this morning from Geneva and you just got here and you haven't skied for what? 3-4 weeks?
4 5 weeks. Yep.
First turns were up there. Nice, man.
So the runnel's actually pretty big there, so I'm a little bit kind of wary of that. The runnel's a bit less big here, so I can just cross over, check out what this snow is like, make sure it's not too hard, and then kind of keep skiing down like that. Cross across here, and I'm just have a little bit of a pause here just to see what's going on, and I actually end up carrying on skiing all the way over to the col, knowing that Chris is going to kind of follow behind me and kind of come across on my track. So there's the crevasse that I was talking about before. I've already briefed Chris on that he needs to be careful of like what's going on above him whilst he's crossing this. We did chat about that at one point, and yeah, just get all the way over onto this kind of little mini col out here and take a little breather. And basically that's the Passerelle couloir, and now we're about to head down into the Glacier Ronde exit.
Bunch of tracks in it. It's my track just coming out the bottom there, and Chris's. Yeah, boy. Nice job. Yeah, dude. Finally.
Redemption.
So that comment there about redemption was due to the fact that I've had quite a lot of outings with Chris over the last few years where we've kind of been a bit skunked by the weather or the conditions, and I think that that's just part of kind of coming out to the Alps or coming out to any mountainous area frequently on set dates rather than being able to be flexible with your time. You know, you kind of take a punt on these dates, and you know, eventually it will work out. It might work out on the first try, and that's great. And it probably means that the second try, you're going to be a little bit less lucky with your time out. But yeah, this was a standout day for Chris. It was a really good run. We actually skied down, and then we went back up and did the Grand Envers in the afternoon as well. So that was a really good day out. So I hope you found that video interesting. It was just a little sort of run through of how we skied that and how I kind of approached that with a client. Yeah, I'm looking forward to more stuff like that this winter. And yeah, thanks very much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you do that, and I'll be seeing you very soon in some more videos. Cheers everybody.